Humans are a very curious species. It's one of our most endearing qualities, for better and maybe for worse as well. That drive, that need to just know why, is something that's motivated us for thousands of years and will no doubt motivate us for thousands more. But this doesn't just manifest as scientific curiosity or a pioneering spirit. In our darkest moments, when everything just hurts, one of the first things we ask ourselves is, why? Why is this thing happening to me? It's a question that can lead to some horrifying answers, but I'd argue it only becomes truly terrifying when there are no answers at all. Takopi's original sin is about being trapped in cycles of abuse and pain with no clear beginning or end, made worse by the fact that its main characters are so young that they often don't even recognize that those cycles exist. If you haven't read the manga, I'd highly recommend you do so, as we'll be talking about it in its entirety today. I won't be going over every single beat, but the entire general story will be spoiled. But don't worry, it's only 16 chapters spread across 2 volumes. I was able to finish the series over the course of a long evening. Alternatively, you could check out the anime adaptation by Studio Enishiya, which is currently airing right now. At the time of recording this, 4 out of 6 episodes have dropped, but the quality of those episodes is absolutely astounding, and it is more than a valid way to experience the story. Of course, this comes with a very big caveat. This is a fucking heavy series, and you will be hit hard by it. Personally, I would say that the series of surprise gut punches made the experience of reading it more, well, fun isn't really the right word. Impactful feels more appropriate. However, if you do find them necessary or are just more comfortable with them, then content warning. This series, and by extension this video, will be talking about bullying, abuse, both physical and psychological, depression, murder, and suicide, all of which happen to children. Consider this your opportunity to tap out if that ain't your mood right now.
Hey, そこに誰かいるの? 何?
Takopi's original sin follows Takopi, a young alien who arrives on Earth from the planet Happy with the mission to bring happiness wherever they land. They meet Shizuka, a 9-year-old girl dealing with severe bullying and depression, and decide their immediate mission is simply to make her smile. Every day they try, showing her new and cute happy gadgets, but nothing seems to work. It isn't until she invites them home that they begin to understand a little. Shizuka's rock, the thing keeping her down, is her dog Chappie. It's when she's with him that Takopi finally sees her smile. Later that evening, Takopi promises that they'll do everything in their power to make sure Shizuka is happy. And for the first time, Shizuka seems to appreciate them, marking the beginning of a strange but beautiful friendship. Not noticing anything wrong, Takopi carries on like usual until Shizuka takes notice of one particular happy gadget. She asks to try it. Alone. And despite their better judgment, they give it to her. Later that day, Shizuka uses it to take her own life. Distraught that they've allowed this to happen, Takopi uses their happy camera to travel back in time to the second day they met, hoping that this time they can fulfill their mission and make Shizuka happy. Based on the short time I've sat with the series, if you want to go about understanding or analysing Takopi's original sin, you gotta start with the title character, since they're not only our viewpoint character for most of the series, but the magnifying glass through which its themes are laid bare for us. This is because Takopi is an outsider to human interpersonal relationships and the complex struggles and trauma that can come from them. You gotta remember, they're an alien from a planet where the worst thing a person can do to you is steal your pudding. Meaning that while Takopi is capable of recognizing sadness and conflict, they struggle to really understand why those things occur. They only see the immediate problem that's in front of them. Girl is sad, must make girl happy. And this well-intentioned but extremely short-sighted mentality is what leads the situation to spiral far beyond anything anyone could have ever intended. Takopi killing Marina is when things start to get messy, to put it lightly. While Takopi is initially frightened by what they've done, they're thrown for a loop when Shizuka is happy. She's ecstatic, she's overjoyed, grateful. To her, all her problems stem from this singular girl and her constant torment of her. So her being dead means all her problems are gone. That's when you realize Takopi's short-mindedness, their inability to consider bigger pictures and systemic causes. It isn't because they're an alien, it's because they're a child. And like them, while Shizuka recognizes that Marina's death is a problem that needs to be dealt with, her most pressing and immediate one is gone. And that's all that matters. But sooner or later, these kinds of problems always resurface. After hiding Marina's corpse, Takopi takes her form and life in order to prevent anyone getting suspicious. It's a plan that was obviously never going to work, but what it does succeed in doing is giving Takopi's perspective, particularly in regards to Marina's home life, which in many ways is just as bad as Shizuka's, with a selfish, financially abusive father who terrorizes his wife after a night of messing with escorts, who then takes out those frustrations on her daughter, using her as an emotional crutch, forcing the child to bear the weight of her being and beating her when she isn't supportive enough. Marina, in turn, then takes out her own anger and frustration on Shizuka, whose mom is in fact one of those escorts. Marina did terrible things, and there's no excusing that. But as much as anyone else, she was a person with a life, an identity, and having that taken away means something. She had her own struggles as much as she caused them in other people, and she did have people who, despite everything, will miss her, who will grieve her. And it's in realizing this that Takopi truly understands the gravity of what they've done, and weeps for the girl that they have taken. This of course would be bad enough, but Azuma, Shizuka's classmate, just had to get drawn into things as well. Up until now, he's been trying to help Shizuka as best as a nerdy, awkward 11-year-old boy can, but once he realizes what she and Takopi have done, he's horrified at not just what they've done, but how blasé they are about it. Not even a few hours later, he's helping bury the evidence and making plans to go rescue Chappie from Shizuka's dad's place. And that's because of his, say it with me folks, abusive family. Compared to the physical abuse of Marina's parents and the complete detachment of Shizuka's, Azuma's mother is sure to heap on the psychological trauma by comparing him to his effortlessly perfect older brother, taunting him with rewards and then depriving him of them when he fails to reach those same insane standards, despite, for all intents and purposes, excelling in his own right. There's this just awful moment where Azuma shows his mom his latest test score, which, due to him spending so much time with Shizuka, is significantly lower than anything he's shown her. Terrified, he expects beratement, but is surprised when she just gives him the pancakes she's been holding under his nose the entire time. Finally, she's recognized his efforts. Finally, he can actually open up to and be honest with her. And then she opens her mouth and says, "I'm done with you. Maybe this was impossible for you, but not studying every day and then getting this abysmal score to get my attention? That's far too childish, don't you think? So we can stop here. I've decided to stop trying as well. Well then, go on." Honestly, sickening stuff, but what's somehow even harder to read is the way that Shizuka begins treating him. Because his mother goes out of his way to make him feel like he has zero worth compared to his brother, for whom he naturally begins harboring resentment for, Shizuka just telling Azuma that she needs his help is enough to get him to crush hard for her. I'm not even sure it's a genuine romantic feeling as much as it is him just latching on to the first person seemingly ever who thinks that he's enough, who looks at him not for what he isn't, but who he is. And because this person is coming to him for help, because she knows and trusts that he can get it done, well, who is he to refuse? And so he goes along with it, letting Shizuka pull him along as their scheme gets darker and darker, as Marina's body is discovered and the noose around their necks gets tighter and tighter, until Shizuka finally asks him to make the ultimate sacrifice. Take the fall for me. Part of what makes this specific part of the story so difficult to read is the fact that Shizuka is, intentional or not, clearly doing something terrible in manipulating Azuma, yet it's so difficult to blame her for it and just move on. In the same way that it becomes difficult to dismiss Marina as the bratty, villainous mean girl she seems to be at first once you know her situation, it becomes difficult to see Shizuka as this wholly innocent, perfect victim once she begins behaving in ways that actively hurt the people around her. You know her, you know what she's been through, she has our sympathy, but now we're seeing a darker, more frightening side of her, and we don't even have the luxury of hating her for it like we did with Marina, even though she is now doing the exact same thing she did, passing down her trauma to another person, albeit in a different way. It makes you think about their parents. What happened to them? Who was their Marina? Who was their Shizuka? Who hurt them so hard that they would carry that pain throughout the rest of their lives, eventually taking it out on their own children, who would then take it out on each other? This is the nature of the cycle of abuse, Takopi's original sin argues. It's like an Ouroboros. There's no clear beginning event you can rewind back to and undo to fix everything. No one person you can just dump all the blame onto. It's just an endless series of hurt people hurting people. Any origin long since forgotten, and any end far out of reach. Even Takopi is a part of this, as shown when it is revealed that this is actually their second time coming to Earth. The first time being 6 years in the future, where upon crashing to Earth, Takopi meets a teenage Marina, now alone with her mother and still being abused, and makes a vow to make her happy. Eventually, she ends up dating Azuma, who then leaves her to begin dating Shizuka, who is back in town years after failing her suicide attempt after the loss of Chappie. This causes Marina to completely lose herself to depression and hatred towards Shizuka, and having made a vow to make her happy, Takopi returns to Planet Happy and asks to use the Happy Clock to go back in time and kill Shizuka. Just gonna let you sit with that for a moment. This is a pretty big twist, but what's important right now is what it means for Takopi. Once they remember all of this, initially they're like, okay, the plan's back on, time to kill the real girl this time, P. But then they remember all the good things that Shizuka did for them, all the terrible things they've seen Marina do, the terrible thing they did to her, and they find themselves paralyzed, unable to know what it is they need to do to make things right, unable to know why they still want to make things right. But then they speak with Azuma, who, having reconnected with his brother, confessed the whole thing to him and is prepared to face the consequences. Takopi despairs that Shizuka is both a bad and a good person, but Azuma says that's just being human. Everyone has their good and their bad points. Him, Marina, Shizuka, and even Takopi. And yet, he had more fun than he ever had with them. They were kind to him, they gave him a sense of purpose, of belonging. They were friends. And that was enough. Realizing what they need to do, Takopi confronts Shizuka, who at this point is just completely broken. Fed up of everyone abandoning her and no one being there for her, she berates and abuses Takopi, demanding to know what she should have done, what was expected of her, what she could have possibly done different. And it's hard to answer her because you get why she's done the thing she's done. It's so difficult to blame her for it because you know none of this starts or ends with her. But what's different now is that Takopi knows this as well, and they do the one thing they can do. Apologize. Apologize for never really understanding her problems. Apologize for never really seeing her as she was. Apologize for leaving her alone, like everyone else did. The two hold each other, just bawling their eyes out, and I think just by doing this, just holding her and giving her the space to let out all her pain and grief, Takopi has done more for her than anyone did up to that point. The series ends with Takopi sacrificing themselves to repair the happy camera and send Shizuka back one last time, this time without them there to get involved. But although Takopi is no longer there, their influence at this point can never truly die. There's an irony that Takopi just trying to talk through these extremely complex, labyrinthian layers of hate and violence is seen as naive and childish at the start of the series, and yet here at the end, Azuma is able to play and fight with his brother like actual brothers, and Shizuka and Marina are able to finally understand each other because they tried talking to each other. And talking doesn't change what they went through. It doesn't change what they're going through, what they're going to go through. But it made things easier, and it brought them closer. And as long as people are able to talk with each other, able to empathize with each other, and love each other, then surely they'll be able to grow up better than they were brought up. Before we end things, I've got a few announcements to make. Firstly, I've started streaming over on my third channel, Kai After Kai After Kai After Kai. At the moment, I'm just doing Xenoblade X, going through the story so that I can have footage of the cutscenes for my eventual video on it, but in the future I'm down to do other stuff, like speedruns, which I've recently gotten back into. If you want to see stuff like that, then link is in the description. Also, tangentially related to that, I need a new laptop. I've been using a shitty Surface Pro the past 4.5 years and it's really starting to give up the ghost, so yeah, definitely need something better. If you want to help me get something that would help me make even better content for you guys, then you can donate one time on Ko-fi, or you can sign up to my Patreon, where you get stuff like early access to videos and music, behind the scenes updates, and credits in every video. Speaking of, I want to thank my patrons for their support, especially my tier 3 patron, Michael Coolwood. Thank you all so much, and thank you to those who've watched all the way. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.